brought to you by ROR.
Mark, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to pick your brain. When I do these podcast episodes, I normally have my guests do an intro themselves, but I feel like you are the name in this industry who needs no introduction. You're a household name. Everyone kind of knows who you are. So I'm not going to waste everyone's time given the long rundown. I think we got that base cleared. But I am excited to talk to you. You are the founder of 24 Hour Fitness, which you grew from a single club to 420 locations, and then you sold it. And then you kind of did the same thing with Crunch. And now everyone's pretty pumped. You're back where you started. You're back at 24 Hour Fitness, kind of returning to your baby, if you will. But I'm really excited to know what made you return. Why is 2026 the right moment to do it? Why are we here today?
Yeah, great question, Taylor. Thanks for having me on. And let's see. Obviously, when I left 24 and embarked upon a new path, was able to fortunately find two platforms I really fell in love with. One was Crunch, of course, which we put a great team together and started developing around 2009 and grew that to where it is today. Jim Rowley stepped in as CEO and done a phenomenal job building the day-to-day. I sat in as chairman through that whole path. And eventually we exited to Leonard Green last summer in June. On the other side, we embarked upon UFC Gym. I partnered with Dana White, the Fertitta brothers, and we crafted a partnership there for many years. They eventually sold the WME, so we became partners and started to grow it together. And then ultimately now it's become a platform that sits in about 45 countries around the world, run by Adam Sedlak. So when I left Crunch, I felt I'll just stay on the board and continue. But Leonard Green said they had a philosophy that they really only wanted the CEO and their partners on the board, so they stepped me off. So at that point, I rolled some equity into the new company and stayed involved as a shareholder. But I'm a free agent again. And I didn't plan on doing much, but then the phone rang and Carl Saff, the current CEO at 24, called me and said, "Hey, I see you sold Crunch. Do you have interest in taking a look at 24, as I think there's a chance that you might be able to put something together there." And I'd made runs at 24 over the past 5 or 10 years when they came to market, but it just wasn't successful for a whole bunch of different reasons. So I got on the phone and spent the next few weeks cutting a term sheet with the current ownership group and hired a great banker and Hugh Paisley, and we were able to come to a term sheet and went and found a great partner in Long Range Capital to come in with me as I invest a bunch of money. They invest a bunch of money, and lo and behold, we were able to close it at the end of the year. It was how can you go throughout. You never know when you're in a transaction. Sometimes they fall apart, sometimes they finish, and this one unfortunately finished. So very excited, very happy to be back. A lot of work to do. The company's a lot different than what I left it, but great group of people there, and we're hustling and spending money and trying to fix what we can as quickly as we can.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It's kind of like you owned a house and you rented it out for a while, and your renters put up just layers and layers of wallpaper, and now you kind of gotta strip it back, see how the foundation is, right? What are your kind of main priorities? You've been back since the beginning of the year. What are your kind of main priorities with the direction you want to head with 24?
Yeah, I think there's three big priorities. One is to get the clubs operating properly, get them clean, get the parts in, get everything fixed that we can. Then start to remodel and retrofit. Our current plan has around 54 clubs getting remodels. Right now, we're in the process of quite a few of them, and more to come. We're deploying a bunch of capital. So grow a little bit, sign some new leases. So we'll start to sign some leases and grow in our marketplaces to be able to defend and get into areas that we haven't been able to grow for the last 5-10 years. And then the big one is just culture, right? Try to really get inside and develop our culture and move it forward. It's been more of I would call it a cost-cutting culture over the last 5 years, because the folks that owned it were trying to harvest capital out of the company versus putting it back in. And our philosophy is going to be to put everything back in so we can grow. And we've remodeled most of the clubs to retrofit them. But let's revamp the culture. Let's get everybody excited about the future. Let's get working hard. We brought some great people back in. And so it's been fun so far.
Yeah, I see on LinkedIn, I can attest that you are putting in the work, because it's like a world tour of you and Carl and some team members traveling location to location, get a feel of everything. So I can see that work is being put in.
Yeah, no, it was great. We jumped on my plane and I put everything I could on there. My plane seats 13, so we took 13 folks and toured all over the country to see as many clubs, meet with the team, let them know where our plan is, and it went really well. It was a lot of fun. A good chance to see everybody I possibly can. And I'm in the clubs as much as I can be. I was out in Northern California the last couple of days and barnstormed through a ton of clubs. Drove as far north as we have product up in Santa Rosa, went all the way down south, and I'm just trying to touch everybody, hear, see, feel what's going on so I can get my finger on the pulse.
Yeah, absolutely. Gym membership's kind of at an all-time high, but the landscape looks completely different than it did when you began 24-hour fitness. We've got GLP-1s, we've got AI coming in, recovery, the shift from cardio to strength. What's your macro view of where the industry's at right now, and what do you think people should be investing in with all those trends?
Yeah, great question. The industry's, in some respects, on fire. It's slowed a little bit in the last few months with the war going on and the economy a little bit tighter than it has been, but still performing pretty well. But the prior 12, 18 months, things were barnstorming pretty well. You've got your baby boomers are still exercising pretty heavily. You've got your Gen Z now entering the market. We're really focused on fitness, wellness, longevity, community events. You've got High Rocks out there, all these things that people are excited about. I think that we've got this low price kind of HLP, high value, low price competitive sets. You've got Crunch, you've got Planet, you've got EOS and regional players out there like Choose and Edge, Vasa, et cetera. Everybody's in that price point trying to get vast membership bases, 10, 12, 15,000 in their club to make it profitable. And then you've got this middle where folks have been sitting, mostly 24-hour LA Fitness and regional players being more maybe plus $10 to $15 above everybody else. And so the view has been, is the middle gone? And I think the middle starting to reemerge as people are saying, look, I love the $10 club and that's great for me, but maybe I'll get a club that has a pool and a basketball court and isn't quite as busy and I'll upgrade there, or I'll belong to both. As we know, a lot of people have 2-3 memberships. They got a boutique going to maybe an Orange Theory or taking a yoga, or now Pilates is booming. So everybody's going to fitness right now. They're doing a lot of it. So the industry is, I think, very healthy and thriving.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know in recent years, 24 has added recovery amenities. They've added Pilates. Are there any other of these things that you are interested in investing or bringing into 24 now that you're back on board?
Yeah, great question. I think recovery is a big component of what we're trying to drive and continue to enhance with additional amenities, whether it's a red light, eventually getting into hyperbaric chambers, getting into incontinence. There's a pelvic chair out there we really like a lot. So trying to bring a broader range of recovery items to our recovery room to create value and experience for our members. And then the piece you touched on a little bit early, which is I call it the Medi-Spa area. You're looking at GLP-1s, NAD, peptides, etc. Tie that into your supplement regime and your software. Everybody's leveraging Claude or Chat right now to control their life. And so AI is kicking in a big way as we start to combine all this into an effort that allows people to see results and shape their body like ever before at a much faster pace.
Yeah. As a young woman, I can attest that peptides, GLP-1s, I know a lot of people who are using them in my demographic, a lot of women in my life. What advantage do you think the fitness industry has leveraging these safely to consumers?
So obviously we have multi-million-dollar facilities, well-equipped, well-serviced. Most all of us keep our clubs clean and well-maintained. They're friendly. It's community. So a lot of people still work at home, or a lot of people aren't able to get out of the house. A lot of people like you have young families, and they're trying to figure out how do I fit in my health, which is super important to me. So the gym, the country club Lifetime Fitness, or the Bay Club group, others that have these big boxes, service the communities. And you get in there to see friends and neighbors and spend time with people that you wouldn't see because you're sitting at profile today by yourself more often than not. So I do think that we're a big part of community. And I used to always debate with Howard Schultz at Starbucks. We would be on different panels of things, and he would say Starbucks was the third place. And I used to say, well, you're the third place, then the gym business is the fourth place. But I think now we're the third place. I think we've surpassed that. So it's called work, gym. Maybe it's coffee after that. But I think we've really moved it to this part of community and culture that we've always aspired to be at.
Yeah, I am a member of Gen Z, and I can attest that my generation, they really do gravitate more towards the gym. They'd rather go out late and work out than go out late to clubs and drink. That's a fun shift to be witnessing. So I do think gyms have a great opportunity to hone in on this demographic.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've got 4 kids between 17 and 24, so I feel like you, this population base. I mean, they all exercise. My daughter is a monster Pilates fan, so she's in Pilates every day. If she can find a solid floor class, she jumps in it. So she travels, she'll find the best rated Pilates studio and she'll go there. I have 3 boys. They all like to lift, exercise. They're all athletes. They all play sports. And kind of as you look at the world today, I think kids looked up and saw mom and dad in the gym, maybe even grandma and grandpa in the gym, and they're like, that's part of our DNA and our life. And they love it. And hopefully we're building good product that they enjoy when they get inside our 4 walls.
Yeah, speaking of grandma and grandpa, I actually talked to Carl not that long ago about the aging demographic and how people are living longer and they're working out longer. And I think sometimes gyms can have a tendency to shift so hard to cater to one population, they kind of forget about the rest. So, how do you think the industry can cater to this aging population as we grow?
Yeah, great question. Obviously, it's environment and they want community as well. So at 24, they have the silver sneakers classes. So we get a lot of seniors in those classes, sometimes 2 and 3 a day with 70 or 80 people in each class. Super popular throughout our entire portfolio. And then I ran into a guy the other day, said, I've been a member for 28 years, but I'm now 68. And the last 8 years, I've used the gym way more than I did in my first 20. He says, I'm in here every day. It's part of my life. I want to live forever. This is helping me do that. And he just came up as a member, just started talking to me, giving me his whole story, which was pretty cool. So there's times of days where we've always been busy and we've always felt that our facilities cater to everybody in the community. And so the older population base was often in the mornings, the early afternoons, and then the younger population base came in later in the day and the early evenings. But continue to focus on it, offer the amenities that they want. Pools are important for the older community. They like the aqua classes. So the fact that 24 Hour Fitness has a lot of pools comes in handy. And then obviously we have great equipment. We have the Cumbit bikes and product that they can get on that's not going to bother their joints as much. And now again, as the older population starts to experiment with HVLP1, GLPs, or on the other side, the pill forms are coming out now. I think maybe getting into the peptides to reduce inflammation, help build muscle. I just think that we're starting to unlock some things that will bode well for our industry.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
Active lifestyle brands partner with ROR to grow more efficiently, acquire the right customers, and maximize marketing performance. By combining proprietary data, AI-driven insights, and decades of industry expertise, ROR helps clients improve conversion outcomes and make smarter investment decisions across every channel.
Mark, you built a very strong brand. Obviously, it's still around. It withheld the pandemic. It withheld multiple leadership changes. It almost felt like no matter how many times it tried to die, it still lived. So you did a great job building that brand. But if you were to build 24 from scratch today, what would you do differently in today's market than when you started?
Yeah, great question. So about every 5 years, I take a piece of real estate near my home, wherever I'm living at that time, and I build what I call the Club of the Future. So I live in Las Vegas now, and so I've taken some space around 45,000 square feet, and I'm building and playing with what I call the next evolution. And hopefully we'll start construction in the next few months and finish it up by Q4. And the goal is to try and test different things that I think will be starting to grow rapidly. So as an example, I put recovery in one of our clubs in 2016, built like a 2,500 square foot recovery room in Frisco, Texas, and was met with rave reviews, and everybody loved it. So we rolled that out everywhere. We've been doing recovery in a sense at Crunch and at UFC gyms for decades. And so now it's become more popular. Obviously, amenities are super popular. You're kind of having to grow within the marketplace. And so the answer is kind of long-winded. What would I do differently at 24? I don't think a lot. I think that we built really good boxes. What I'm most proud of is that Mike Feeney's been my right hand on construction and development forever and ever. He's phenomenal. And when we were building 24, we said, look, our learnings from other big chains like Bally's, et cetera, was that they didn't put enough capital up front into the boxes so they would last the test of time. So we're going to spend a little bit more money. We're going to bulletproof these clubs, and they're going to last the test of time. So we walked back in now to clubs that have boxes we built 30 years ago, and they're still holding up. The showers, the locker rooms, the tile, the wall coverings, the flooring are still intact. they need new equipment. So that's what we're starting to do, is replace the equipment, and then a little bit of TLC, new turf, some paint. But generally, overall, the facilities did what we wanted them to do. And Mike, I'm really proud of the work that he did. I'm really happy with that part. So I think as we go forward, we'll continue that philosophy of building really good, high-quality facilities, price them properly, then have the amenities that consumers want. And as the Gen Z crowd right now wants as much free waste as possible, they want innovative equipment, they want lighting, they want posing rooms. That's today's group. And so we'll build a lot of that and cater to that market, but we'll also be an environment where everybody is welcome, everybody feels comfortable, the whole community. So seniors can come in the mornings and take classes, and obviously we'll get after the called weightlifting crowd later in the day.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this more specialized equipment? I know younger people are gravitating, they want like glute zones. They want multiple pieces that can target one specific part of their body. How do you feel about implementing that in your locations?
Yeah, it's important. I think we have to have glute areas that are walled off so people are comfortable exercising on those pieces of equipment. So we are building smaller rooms now that we might call 12 to 1,500 square feet with just all glutes. And then we are starting to put Pilates in separately that you can. We have the online Pilates, so you can take a class as low as $29 a month and take as many as you want with a beautiful reformer and then a screen that you can self-taught. And then we have live classes as well, so you pay a little bit more and get access to the live classes we have every day. So we're evolving into that. And then obviously HIIT training, and then just having access around the clock 24 hours a day with great equipment is huge for us too. It's always been our brand promise, and some of our facilities pulled back a little bit from 24 hours. We're starting to roll that back out and open more and more so we can get back to our brand promise. But it's the industry evolves, and you see some chains out there now, they're doing really good work with innovative product and lighting, and you admire the stuff that they're doing. Whether you can scale it, you have to wait and see. As far as ones where you might go to one of those types of clubs and catch a 20-mile radius, but if you want to open every 5 miles, it might be tougher.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people appreciate your insight, Mark, not only in the fitness industry, but you have a large portfolio in general. So if you were advising either a fitness operator or just an investor today, where do you think they should put most of their money? Is it the recovery amenities? Is it technology? Is it real estate? Is there something that maybe the industry is not even thinking about right now?
Yeah, good question. 70% of success is your real estate, right? So did you pick a good site? Did you negotiate a good lease? Did you get some tenant improvement dollars from the landlord? Does it have a good parking field? Can you park enough cars so that if you got a couple hundred members in the club at one time, you have cars parked for them? And then hours and access, and then it boils down to amenities. What you're offering and how big is the facility? It's a lot of variety here to make things successful. There's clubs that are 10 or 12,000 square feet, you do phenomenally well. And there's others like a Lifetime, 250,000 square feet. So the question is, what's your budget? What can you afford? How much cash do you have in a rainy day plan so in case you need it, it's available? And then you have to build high quality and do a great job on the sales and marketing side. Well, what I tell everybody is that I fell in love with this industry is that you can do everything that's humanly possible in a job in this industry. That's the beauty of it, this consumer-facing, subscription-based business. So if you have accounting, obviously you can do a lot of that. If you have sales and marketing, you can do that. If you're an operations person, a consumer person, everything you can think of, IT, AI, it's all in this industry. And so there's never a dull day. You're never bored. You're always challenged. And so I think it's a lot of fun. But to answer your question, it depends how much capital you have. But the key for me is the real estate. You need a really good broker that can help you find great real estate, cut the right deal, make sure you get the right funding, and then ensure that you got the right parking field and look at the competitive landscape. But it's like a 2-hour answer I'm trying to give to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up parking because I don't care how good your gym is, how good your restaurant is, how good your store is. If the parking situation is stressful, I am not coming back. And I don't think people talk about that enough. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's important. I've learned. I know certain clubs get to a level of success they can't go any higher because there just isn't any parking. And sometimes your pricing dictates the parking. So if you're a $10 club, you better have a lot of parking. If you're a $50 club, it won't be as important. It's still important, but you don't need as much. So it all boils down to what your offering is, but the more parking, the better.
Yeah. I know the old model of fitness was giving people a lot of equipment for a low price, and it feels like the new model is now focused more on belonging, recovery, longevity, outcomes. Do you think the industry has fully caught up to that shift yet, or are we still leaving a lot on the table?
And I don't think they've caught up. It's expensive to put recovery in. You're going to spend between $100,000 and $500,000 depending on how much you put into the room. And to get a return on that, you got to decide how you package it. Is it a la carte, or are you bundling it into your membership offering? The big boxes that are out there that are growing, the 40, 50, 60,000 square foot clubs that are still doing the $10 to $30 play, whether it's Crunch or EOS, Fitness Connections, another group that does the big boxes. Those folks need pretty deep member bases to make those work at great parking fields. And they need amenities inside that people want, and recovery is part of it. But they're going to have to continue to grow their recovery rooms to compete with others, because the consumer today is intelligent and they're being guided by AI in a lot of ways. And AI is going to play a big role in how you choose everything you do in your life. AI assistant, whether you're using Claude or Chat, inside there is going to tell you what to do all day long. And it's going to guide you in your decision process on when you join a gym.
Yeah. I think it's important too for clubs to investigate how they can rank higher. We focus so much on SEO and ranking high and marketing that way, but you really have to make sure you're ranking high within those systems now too to get in front of the consumer, because more and more people are using Chat and Claude for Google instead of Google these days too. So something to think about.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But we're moving very fast, and we all have to have our finger on the pulse on what's going on with AI, because it's going to play a big role for us in our daily life as a consumer, and then obviously in our businesses that we operate.
Yeah. One thing I hear a lot from kind of the C-suite operators in this industry and just people in general is the 80% who are not gym members. We hear it a lot within conversation. I think the penetration rate they say is about, HFA says it's about 22%, maybe a little higher in some markets. But you've been in this industry for a while. Why do you think we can't get past that kind of threshold? What's it going to take to get the other 80% in?
I think it's a little misleading, because I think it's much higher than 20. I think it's close to 30 on average around the country, and on the coast it could be as high as 40 in places that people love to get on the beach, etc. So the step back is that if you took the 80% in theory that are not working out, how many of them have belonged to a gym before? And maybe have. So they've been in and out, and it's hard work. People don't like hard work. I know a lot of people don't like to run. They don't like doing cardio at all. They just don't like it, so they don't do it. However, your cardiovascular system needs to get that target heart rate up at least every day, if not 3-4 days a week. And so we have to continue to educate, focus, and tell people, look, I know you don't like it, but you need to do it if you want to live longer. If you're okay being a target of 70, 75, just hanging out, great. But if you want to get into your 80s and 90s or even further, you're going to need to really get after it and look at your diet, look at how you exercise. And so that 80% group just needs to be targeted. Obviously, healthcare companies are starting to get more involved by sending their constituents into the gyms, and we offer them a discount to do so, which is great. So the industry's been really good there. Businesses are pushing their team members and employees into us. They've always been doing that, but more and more lately. So that's been really good. But I just think we have to build facilities that are welcoming to people. It's easy to find an excuse not to go to the gym. Someone says, I loved your gym, but the pool was too cold for me. Then you talk to another person, I loved your gym, but the pool was too hot for me. And so you can't win. It's just you find reasons to anchor to that don't allow you to have success. But if we continue to do a good job, and I think, again, with the GLP-1 world and doctors saying, hey, look, you need to go on this medicine, but you also need to start doing some resistance training, I recommend you join a gym, has really helped us and will continue to do so to drive that number up. But we also need to build more facilities. My answer used to be there just aren't enough facilities in the United States, as an example of the world, to service the number of consumers who want to belong. So you just ran into capacity issues, parking fields, clubs too busy. So I think the more that people are opening new facilities, the greater number of consumers will belong.
Yeah, I think it's hard sometimes for fitness professionals to be like, just go to the gym. We all know the benefits. And I've been someone who's been in sports my whole life, has exercised my whole life. And now that, like, since I've had a baby, I've had to go back to ground one and start all over. And it's like, this does suck. I do empathize with these people who don't really immerse themselves in it. When you're back to ground zero, it is hard to get back into it. And I talk to operators every single day. I know the benefits, and it still sucks for me. So I totally empathize with the populations out there.
Yeah. Anything that's hard is, for most people, is something you don't want to do. But this is one where I constantly encourage people to say, skip through that hour a day, give yourself that opportunity 3-4 days a week, and you'll feel better, you'll live longer, you'll be happier, healthier. And you won't be that kind of person that's at 65 or 70 years old that has a hard time walking up and down the aisle.
Yeah. One thing I like to do before I interview people is try and just get as much information as I can. I like to listen to previous conversations that they've had. And with you, some things kind of kept coming up. And you've been called the godfather of the fitness industry, the innovator, trailblazer, which you always have a rebuttal to where I don't disagree. I do think you're all those things. But your rebuttal is always you couldn't have done those without the mentors and the people who came before you in the industry. So I was curious if there's any advice that maybe your mentors gave you early on that's helped you throughout your career that you still think about today.
Yeah, great question. I mean, I kind of grew up in this industry. I was fortunate to be able to spend time with a lot of the legends in the industry who were still operating, and people like Don Lallman at Bally's, who was the CEO there. And I had a chance to spend time talking to him about what worked, what didn't work, and I learned from him. Rudy Smith, who was one of the top help and tennis Bally's operators, was phenomenal, always gave me time. His son Todd came and worked for me for probably 20 years and ran my M&A and real estate side. He was awesome. Ray Wilson became a partner, one of the great legends all time in the industry. I was sitting next to Ray. Ray was probably in his mid-60s when we merged our two companies together, and I took over Family Fitness Centers. And so I got to spend years with Ray, picking his brain, things he did wrong, things he would correct, things he would change. He said he probably went bankrupt in our industry more than he ever did, probably combined. So that was kind of cool. And then the current people that are out there that are growing, they're phenomenal. And Ron Makrati at Lifetime's been amazing. And I've spent a lot of time with him over the years. And so you just learn from everybody, no matter who it is, that kind of sits in this health and wellness. And I'm one of those guys that shares. So I'm happy to tell anybody what I've seen, what I learned. It's all in the execution. I can tell you everything that you can do to be successful, but if you don't execute on all of it, then it's not going to happen. But it's been fun to be able to mentor with others. Where people say, hey, you're like the godfather, that, to me, that means I'm just old. So I'm probably like the old man standing now in the room. So I'm just getting older and older as the days go by. But it's fun to laugh at it. But I'm still out there having fun, enjoying the industry, and that's what it's all about. And we'll write another chapter here.
Yeah, I think something I didn't really realize until I started putting all the pieces together is you're like a spider web. Every successful operator that I've talked to that we've had on our cover has a connection back to you. Adam Sedlak, Mike Feeney, Chris Smith, like the list goes on and on. So I do think the industry sees that you do pour into and share with those who work with you. But I'm curious if you had advice maybe today, maybe 3 things for operators maybe getting their start or trying to grow, what advice would you share with them?
Obviously, get good people, surround yourself with people that are better than you at what it is that you're doing. So I used to do all the marketing in the early days. Eventually, I hired a director of marketing who's way better than I was. So just continue to do better, learn from them, work with them. In almost every capacity, get someone who's better. I used to build and design all the clubs, and Mike Feeney came along. I handed it off to him, and the rest is history. I got out of the way. He's way better than I ever was. So surround yourself with good people as you can, as you grow, as you have capital to do it and payroll to do it, and put people underneath you that are phenomenal at what they do, and then pay them well, motivate them well, take care of them, and then give them the chance to grow and do what they need to do. I always said, try to keep you in the guardrails, stay in between, but I'll let you run. And I'll let you make your mistakes, let you learn, so that you feel good that you own whatever that area is inside the organization. But that'd be my advice.
Yeah. Coming back with fresh eyes to 24, over 20 years later, what do you want this second chapter to really stand for, and how are you going to know if you got that right?
Yeah, so I look at the company now like I'm never going to leave, and so I'm trying to build something that'll stand the test of time. And there's certain things you need to do in order to make that happen. And so we're not in a race here. We're going to take our time to reorganize, build our culture, and start to grow. And I'm hoping we open up a club a month next year, a couple clubs a month in 26, 28, and then probably by 29, 1 a week. And then we're off and running again. And we're having fun, and the team's doing well, performing well. And my philosophy has always been to let people earn and make a lot of money. And that's what I want to do, make sure that our team is making more money than anyone else in the industry in the positions that they're at. It'll take us a little while to get there, but we're going to build that again. That's where we were when we left. We were highly compensated, highly rewarded, highly incentivized, motivated, competitive team with amazing culture, amazing facilities. And that's where we want to get back to. And the team at 24 now is very focused on doing that. So It'll take a little time, but we're going to get there.
Yeah. We've worked with Carl a lot since he's kind of came on to 24, and so I'm excited to see where you and him kind of work together and see how we can just witness the growth that's coming. Like you said, it's going to take a few years to get your footing back, maybe, but I think no one's doubting that 24 is going to keep growing from here on out.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, Mark, we have a little segment we like to do on our podcast for fun. It's just a little thing we like to call hot take or hard pass. So what it is, I read very blanket statements about the industry, and you either say hot take, which means you agree, or hard pass, which means you disagree. So are you down to play with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We'll go a little rapid fire here. If you want to explain your answer, you can, but you don't have to. And You can stay neutral if you insist.
All right.
All right. Gen Z will reshape more than millennials did the fitness industry.
Hard take.
Longevity is the next massive category.
Hard take.
Fitness and healthcare will eventually merge.
Hard take.
Recovery is becoming a bigger business than fitness.
Hard pass.
Big box gyms are winning the next decade over boutiques.
Hard take.
Pickleball is a long-term business.
Hard take.
Strength training demand will continue to grow.
Hard take.
Members care more about the energy than the equipment.
Hard pass.
The industry is oversaturated.
Hard pass.
The best years of the fitness industry are still ahead.
I say hard take. That could be.
All right. And then, Mark, what do you think is your hottest take about the fitness industry right now?
That it's on fire. We're competing fairly and evenly. And I think it's exciting times for the industry. So everyone's starting to find their segment, and they're doing a great job servicing it. We'll see if the market tightens in the next 6 months or if it loosens up again. Time will tell.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. I know you're a busy man.
No, thank you very much. It's been great to be on. Continued success, and I'm excited for the future for everybody.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Club Solutions podcast. We appreciate our sponsor, ROR, for helping support meaningful industry conversations and innovation in